America is deeply divided. There are only two sides to every issue, and there is no interest in finding common ground, not even with members of your own family. But as the 2024 presidential election looms on the horizon, there has never been a more important time to have the necessary conversation.
Welcome to the Necessary Conversation. It's a very special night. We have all, as a family, in separate locations around our great nation, just concluded viewing of the first debate between current Vice President Kamala Harris, who is running for president, and Donald Trump, former president and now raving madman. Before we get into the details of this, I want to just say this was broadcast on ABC. The hosts were David Muir and Lindsay Davis. There was no audience, which I thought immediately was a little strange. They walked out and it almost seemed like a Saturday Night Live sketch because there was no one there. It was just this weird kind of creepy moment. I thought it was done pretty strangely. It was awkward, and they shake hands. Now, we'll get into everything they talked about. However, I want to go around right now and just have each of us say, starting with you, Dad, how did you feel about this? Who do you think won, and what's your general takeaway from this?
In my opinion, it was a Donald Trump landslide.
Okay.
Kamala Harris came off exactly like she did in the Democratic primaries, and she'll get her 1% vote again. She spent the entire night talking about how you is all I care about. Mm-hmm. She never answered any of the damn questions. She went back into the same talking points over and 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 over again.
Can I just real quick ask you on that point? Wait, one sec. On that point of Kamala Harris going back to her same talking points and answering no questions, do you feel Donald Trump did a better job of that?
I think he did a better job of answering the questions.
Okay.
And I think he kicked her ass up between her ears.
All right.
Mom? And I think the polls are going to just tank her.
All right. So you think clear landslide victory for Donald Trump, and you believe he did a better job at answering the questions and not just reciting talking points.
Exactly.
Okay. Mom?
And by the way, she has that whiny ass voice, and she kept going back to her kid days and all that bullshit. That's the same exact spiel.
Yeah.
She changed nothing from her debate in the Democratic primaries when she was running against Biden.
Okay.
She sounded exactly like the same fucking person, and she will get the same fucking result.
All right. Mom, how did you feel about this? What's your general takeaway? You were literally minutes after it concluded, right? So it's still pretty fresh in your mind.
I felt very good for Trump. I thought, he held his cool. He got mad at times, but he didn't yell at her or scream at her in any way. What I didn't like about her, which I think is going to kill her, was this stuff where she went and would look at him like that. Her facial expressions.
Pushing her face? You saw her do that?
Yeah, she did
at least 2 or 3 times. She
was going like this?
She was doing Reagan. She was Reagan breakdancing.
Yeah, her facial expressions and her hand movements.
She's just not a serious person.
I guess I didn't catch that.
That woman couldn't run a fucking piggy bank.
Okay.
So
her
go ahead, Mom.
facial expressions were going to get her in trouble.
Yeah.
Her constant lying. The very first question, I don't even think she answered. She kind of skipped all the way around it and never even answered.
We'll get to that. I'm going to go question by question on this. And I took copious notes. I've got like 20 pages of notes on this. It's basically a transcript.
Oh, Jesus.
We're not going to hit all 20. It's just for me to roll through. Don't worry about it. Where'd she go?
I have to
get Kitty back on the couch.
Okay.
This is normally when Kitty goes to bed and we turn things off.
Okay. So, yeah, I think her facial expressions, it was just very bizarre. It was even bizarre when she first came out on stage.
It's very immature.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you think Trump won landslide also?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Haley, what is your opinion freshly off watching this?
Okay. He wasn't as incoherent as I thought he would be. However, he did talk about immigrants eating people's pets
They
and
did.
giving
on the news today.
transgender
watched
operations to people in prison. I don't know.
The line was this. I bolded this one. Let me find this shit. He says, she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison.
That's true.
That's true too.
That was one
and
of her.
even the two hosts.
That's on her
the two hosts
website
were like,
of plans.
And she
No,
didn't
the
deny
two-
it.
She
the
didn't
two
deny
people-
it because it's on her plans.
the two hosts, whatever their name were, they were literally like fact checking on the
Yeah.
spot and
The
telling him
thing-
like, you're wrong. Like,
When he
that's
started
not a
talking about the
thing.
eating the pets, David Muir was like,
And then
I
Okay.
talked to
Now, David
the
Weir,
city
David
commissioner of that city.
Weir's-
There's no.
he didn't say it wasn't right. He said it hasn't been confirmed.
And guess
Anyway,
what?
He said
my-
he talked to the city commissioner.
Yes,
No,
and
the
that-
city
that-
commissioner.
I did
Yeah,
see
and Trump was
that.
like, well, I saw it on
The guy at
TV.
the guy at the city
We'll get to that.
council
We're getting
meeting.
ahead of ourselves.
Who
Yeah.
they ate?
So,
Who
yeah.
they ate the fucking
Anyway.
dog of?
Listen, we're
he
getting ahead of
doesn't
ourselves.
matter.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. We're gonna get to all of that. Haley, please. What was your
Okay,
final takeaway
so
from this?
he wasn't as incoherent as I thought he was going to be, but he had a few gems in there that were like SNL worthy.
Yeah.
Also like birthing babies, setting them aside and deciding what to do with them. All kinds of just like
Murdering, yeah.
crazy, but like wild shit.
Which
Yeah.
did happen.
Can't
Which
take that
did happen,
seriously.
but that's
Okay.
all right.
Not gonna
She,
find-
did not answer all of the questions directly.
No
some
shit.
of them
No
some of them
shit.
she did.
Neither did
He
he.
didn't answer
He
any of them.
didn't answer anything. He answered
Let me
nothing.
verbatim him a little bit here for you, if I can just find this.
How about borders are? She just like, oh yeah, whatever.
She did a good job.
The 13th
of-
question, they were talking about Obamacare, and she says, what would be your plan to replace Obamacare? She says to Trump, he rambles, Obamacare is lousy healthcare. We're working on things. We're going to replace it. I inherited Obamacare. And then he goes into this whole long tirade
He
rambling.
did
No,
inherit it.
but he has no plan to replace it. And Lindsay
Yes,
Davis
he
says,
does. He said they're working on modifications
No.
to it now.
And he said,
right.
I'm
So
not
if you'll
president now.
just permit me to read verbatim what was said,
Yeah.
Lindsay Davis then says, so you don't have a plan? And he goes, I have concepts of a plan.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Fuck you.
Anyways,
What's
all right.
wrong with
So-
that?
What's
Yeah,
He
her
doesn't
plan?
have a plan.
Her
Look,
plan is to just stick her finger in her ass and let
Okay.
it ride.
So
Yeah.
Kamala won
Yeah.
the debate. Like it's pretty apparent.
Uh-huh.
You know what?
She had like some decent shit. It was
Okay,
some
wait a
feel
minute.
good shit. It was like we're all gonna come together now. I'm tired of the racism and the divisiveness, and I think people picked
Oh
it up.
yes.
So I do think that she won the
Why are
debate.
we racist
also,
and
he's fucking crazy.
divisive?
He's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's been in power for 3.5 years. Why didn't you
Mhm.
clear it up?
Well, that was one of his talking points. If I may step into this fray and issue forth my opinion of what I've just witnessed. When it first started, Kamala Harris was clearly nervous. Her mouth was dry. She was stumbling over her
Parched.
words a little
Mhm.
bit. But I thought by about the second or third question, she was fucking into it, locked on, and she
No.
made him look like a complete fool.
Oh my God. Really,
Listen,
Chad?
Yes.
No, we
really
watched
think
two
that?
different things.
What's that?
Do you,
I think he made her look like a complete fucking fool.
No, I know. And this is really why we're doing this podcast, is to examine this idea
crazy.
that we can both see the same thing and see, clearly different stuff come out of it. I
Well,
thought
we're
she
gonna
handled-
see. We're gonna see tomorrow and the next day when the polls come out,
Sure,
Let
I
Chad
agree.
talk.
I agree. But
and she's gonna drop like a rock.
yeah.
let Chad say what
I
he
agree
wants
with what you guys are saying. She didn't do a good job of directly answering a lot of the questions, but she did a better job than Trump, just in terms of numbers. I wrote all this down. You guys are
Look,
shaking your
look.
head. I have an almost verbatim transcript of
Oh,
this,
wait, I gotta do it
and I
this
was
way.
keeping a tally of every time a question was asked, did the candidate answer it or not? We can go through them all. Trump answered virtually
You're
none of
gonna-
them.
you're
She
gonna-
answered a little better. She answered maybe 25% of them.
Stop it. Okay, now you look.
That's your winner. There's your winner.
Stop it. Okay, Chad, I have a question. Do you
No,
think those?
let me
Okay,
say this.
go ahead.
What I thought she won this pretty much hands down. I know you guys will think whatever you're going to think, and Majal will think what they're going to think. But the bottom line is this. What really came through to me is Trump has no plans for anything. And you're talking about from the same tired playbook. All he would say was millions of people coming across the border that they're letting in. They're the worst president in history.
Go to bed and wake up.
Okay. Let me get this out quickly. Thank you. All he would really say is Biden and Harris are the worst presidential administration in history. There's going to be World War III, and millions of people are coming across the border. That's primarily all he would say, regardless of what the questions are. He would always find some way to bend it back to these kind of red meat issues for the right. That is, be scared of World War III and hate these people. Kamala Harris was more focused on saying, I do have some plans in place, and that shit has to be over now. We have to move into a future where we are together as Americans and put all of this behind us.
Vote for me.
And she brought up the debunk thing, the Charlottesville, all that. That's, oh God. Anyway, here's what I want to ask you, Chad.
That really happened.
Okay. Oh, okay. Get on the internet and Google. It's all debunked. It was not.
Roll on. He's got 20 questions.
Wait, no. I don't have 20 questions. We can roll through these pretty quickly.
Here's what I want to ask. Do you think those moderators were biased in any way? Do you think they were biased?
I don't care if they were. I mean,
the woman, like, I think hates Donald Trump.
They both hated Donald Trump.
He doesn't care if they were biased.
Yeah, Chad doesn't care. They were both. That was too biased.
That doesn't matter. If you're the president of the United States, or you're attempting to be, you should be able to walk into a fucking CNN debate against two people who hate your guts and still do okay.
He did.
Fine.
Right. Then what are you guys complaining about? Who cares? You need him to be a victim in some way for it to fit the narrative that he has spun to you.
Oh, that's not
And even
true.
in this, where you claim that you think he won in a landslide,
That's
you
right.
still need him to be a victim in some way.
No, I don't.
Yes. Mom does. She just said those two people
I think
were biased against
were
him.
biased.
Who cares? If he won in a landslide, why do you care? He won
not a fair debate.
But he won this unfair debate, supposedly. So who cares, right?
He did. He smoked her 3-1, and he still won.
All right, let's get into some of these specific topics here, if you would permit me.
I wished I could have screenshot when she was doing the weird facial gestures, because they were really weird.
Cackling like a fucking kid.
And Trump's facial gestures weren't weird.
I know. I was about to say, like, are you fucking serious?
No, the thing, she put her finger up and turned her head and kind of.
And so that's what you're gonna say. She can't be president because she did a couple weird facial gestures.
That's right. She's not a serious person.
It was very demeaning.
She gets into meetings with these foreign leaders that are going to eat her for lunch.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a line she used about Putin versus Trump.
Correct.
So you're now using her talking points. I like to hear that.
And when she said it, his face was like, ugh. Like he was so insulted every time she nailed it.
We've already seen 4 years of Trump driving those other dictators in the ground. So anything she says about Trump and how he's going to handle foreign leaders is horse shit.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to this first topic. We're keeping Haley awake. The first topic was the cost of living.
Okay.
And the question was, do you think Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago in the economy? Kamala Harris rambles. She talks about, I'm from the middle class, talks about her tax credits, the 6K for children, 50K.
That's a lie.
Bob,
okay, 50K tax deduction. And she says Trump's plan is to give tax cuts to billionaires and 20% tax on everyday goods. She does not answer the question here.
Never did.
This is the dry mouth, seems nervous. Trump says he has no sales tax. He has tariffs on other countries, talks about millions of people from prisons and insane asylums pouring into the country, taking black jobs. They're taking over towns and buildings. Also does not answer the question. Just a complete random rambling, but it has nothing to do with the question being asked. The question was, are Americans better off now than they were 4 years ago? He doesn't answer it. She doesn't answer it. So that's a 0-0.
Tell you the things you just mentioned, the three things you just mentioned that he brought up, that tells you they're not doing as well as they did 4 years ago.
Okay, well then everything she brought up tells you that they are. What do you mean?
He did answer the fucking question.
No, neither of them answered the question.
Oh, bullshit.
Here's what I think too. Some of those questions, they were based for the left. You know, the abortion, the climate change.
How is that based for the left? The right is the one who is bringing up the abortion issue.
No, the January 6th, all those topics that were thrown at them from the moderators, that's more for her and not Trump. So I really feel it was biased.
That what happened on January 6th is a viable question to ask of the incoming potential president on either side, but certainly of him, who was there on the day, incited the riot, et cetera, has been charged with things.
I feel like they were helping her more through the debate than him.
But let me just ask you, do you think that question is a fair question to be asked in this current presidential debate? Then how is it biased?
She was also there, she said, inside the building. So
hiding under a fucking desk.
Tariffs were brought up. That was the second topic. Up to 20% goods coming into the country. Harris argues this is going to bring the prices on common goods up by about $4,000 a year. Do you think Americans can afford higher prices? Trump says they won't have higher prices. Tariffs are still in place. And he says polls are saying 80 to 85 to 90% of all people think the Biden economy is terrible. Kamala Harris says Trump brought the deficit up high. She puts it on him, and she claims that he thanked President Xi during COVID, when we know that she was actually responsible for withholding information. Trump responds that chips are made in Taiwan, and he rambles on about her being Marxist, changing her policy. She's openly at this point laughing at him, and he fearmongers again.
That's tank her, smart guy.
About the criminals. Again, this was a topic that was about 20% increase on goods coming into the country.
Yeah, blah, blah,
and he
blah,
starts talking about
immigration
and people coming across the border.
Are you going to do this? You're going to preach to me that stupid bitch knows economics and you do too? I don't think so.
No, I didn't say anything about that. I'm saying he's not even talking about economics. The question was about economics, and he's talking about millions of immigrants coming across the border, which has nothing to do with the tariff question. What does that have to do with tariffs? I'm simply using this to illustrate that he's not answering the question. Once again, neither did she here.
Oh, God. Yes, he did. See, you're too ignorant to know what he's saying.
Here's what I feel, too.
You're fucking ignorant. I'm telling you right now. You don't know what, you don't even know. He's answering the goddamn questions, and it's so far over your fucking head, you don't even get it.
Let's see if I'm ignorant on this one. The next topic was abortion. Trump said he was the most pro-life president in history. This is the moderator saying this. And he brags about banning abortion, but says he will be a good president for women's rights. And he's flip-flopped on these abortion bans. Why should women trust him? Trump says Democrats have abortion in the 9th month, and that babies are executed after birth. He then starts attacking Tim Walz, saying he's out of it. And he says Walz says execution of babies is okay. The moderator, David Muir, then steps in and says there is no state in the country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Do you believe that?
Not anymore.
Okay.
There was in the beginning.
Yes, there was.
Okay.
So yes, I do believe that.
And it was Virginia, right?
Yeah, it was Virginia. The Virginia governor.
Well, it is my opinion that this is the first time where Kamala Harris steps up and basically takes control of the debate away from him and never looks back. She has this very good monologue about, he's lying. He's going to lie all night. Then she gets into the 20 states have abortion bans. There are plenty of bans that don't make exceptions for rape or incest. She says the government, and certainly not Donald Trump, should have any right to tell a woman what to do with her body. Her strongest moment so far, I thought. She goes into specific cases where these bans are terrible. 13-year-old girl being forced to carry a rape pregnancy to term, things of this nature. And she says he's going to sign a national abortion ban on day one. She brings up the 2025 plan to have monitoring of pregnancy, and these decisions should not be made by the government. And I put down here, she's starting to get comfortable and take control. Trump then responds, I won't sign a national ban. And then he's asked point blank by the moderator if he would veto an abortion ban. And he's like, I wouldn't have to. Dodges the question completely again. He won't answer this question because he knows that if he does say he would veto an abortion ban, he loses the Christian right in his vote. So do you think in this case he was answering the question when he's literally avoiding it?
I thought it was smart. That's fine.
He answered the question.
That's fine.
He literally didn't.
The reason he doesn't have to is because the states decide.
Okay. Well, the moderator then says J.D. Vance said you would veto it.
Well, the moderator's full of shit.
No, J.D. Vance did say in an interview that he would veto
it. Yeah. But
is he running for president? Last time I looked, no.
But then he said he didn't talk to J.D. Vance.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Also that.
Well for the fact that they are a ticket together. Don't you think they should be talking to one another? Just a
They're
little.
both on the campaign trip.
Kind of like, where's Joe Biden? She didn't know.
Okay.
He's in bed, sleeping in his poopy diaper.
Okay.
Trump responds by also talking about how he's a leader on fertilization. I've been a leader on fertilization for a very long time.
Why are you on abortion?
Huh?
Why are you putting 90% of our time on abortion?
It should be on.
We've talked about this for about 3 minutes.
Immigration.
I'm going down the list of literally everything that was asked of them in the order it was asked.
I'm not around for a goddamn list. Let's get it
I
out.
did like
the list now. You're around for it now. It's happening.
I did like how he just repeatedly referred to it as fertilization.
Yeah,
like
I'm a leader. When you think of fertilization, think of Donald Trump. I will fertilize.
Don't make fun of him.
He made fun of himself. The next topic.
Oh, here you go.
Here you go. The next topic is
yelling.
illegal.
Yeah, quit yelling.
Are you guys watching TV right now?
First poll came out. 93% of the people that they polled say Donald Trump won the debate.
Newsmax.
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure we're getting our information. Can you just make sure that the volume is down on the TV?
It's a Newsmax snap poll.
93%.
Hang on. Let me real quick. I'm going to look at my own. This is a Chad Culture snap poll. 150% of all participants said Kamala Harris destroyed him.
Okay.
The fourth topic is the illegal border crossing.
Newsmax says
now,
no.
On the border crossing, when he brought up that she was the border czar, she just didn't do anything and just sat there and did one of those faces again.
The big thing that came up here was she basically brought up the fact that her and Biden did try to get a bill passed through Congress that would have helped with the border, but Trump called up his allies in the House and got them to shoot it down.
No. That would not have solved a single problem.
I know.
And that's why they killed it. It had nothing to do with Trump.
And
she lays some bait for him here at the end of this. And
there's bait.
And he takes it.
He's not smart enough to bait a fucking mousetrap.
Please
she baited him and he took it. She says, she's like, he's going to talk a lot about immigration, even when that's not the topic. And she talks about how he's talking about Hannibal Lecter at his rallies. And she goes, people leave his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom, and you won't hear him talk about you. The moderator then asks him, why did you try to kill the bill? And Trump goes, no. We need to talk about these rallies. Kamala pays people to show up at her rallies.
Does.
I have the best rallies in political history. Then he starts talking about World War III.
To come in.
This is a topic is about the border crossing. And he's talking about how many people show up to his rallies.
Stop. You know
what?
Wasn't it?
This is ridiculous.
Wasn't it day one?
You're just like the fucking moderator, right? I'm not listening to your shit. I'm gonna be Donald Trump. Fuck you.
God.
What?
Okay. Wasn't it?
I'm not. You're tainting every fucking thing on every topic to where you want it to go.
I'm in most cases reading verbatim what
I
they
don't
said.
give a shit what you're doing. You're reading verbatim the questions that the biased moderators did in the debate.
That's
and that
the
makes
debate.
That makes you a biased moderator for our debate.
We are talking about
here's
what we watched.
I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Oh my God! The finger didn't make it. He flipped y'all off.
You got to flip off the camera if you want us to see it. I'm simply reading. I'm reading my notes.
I don't care
what we just watched.
Look at my face.
Read them to mom.
Dad. No, look. How can we talk about this debate if we can't talk about what actually happened in the debate?
Everybody, I'm out.
Stop it.
This sounds to me like a person who realizes Trump has lost this debate and he can't take it.
Not at all.
I want to ask you this question.
I'm a person who realizes Trump won the debate and you can't take it.
Wasn't it the very first day of the Biden administration, he lifted the border ban and let them all in? Wasn't that one of his,
I don't know.
Yes,
his executive orders?
And he canceled.
He lifted.
And he canceled the Keystone Pipeline
and the Keystone,
and allowed the Russians to build
on that border, he lifted it on the first day. And there she's saying, "Oh, we're here to close the border."
Yeah.
I just think she lies way too much. I think she lies a whole bunch.
They all lie. We all know that. But let's go to the next topic, which is deportation. Okay. Trump has said that he would deport 11 million undocumented immigrants. He claims the number is higher. The moderator says, what is that plan? How would you do that? Would you go knocking door to door to look for these people? And Trump goes, the number's actually much higher. Terrorists, drug dealers, common street criminals. Crime is way down all over the world because they've sent their criminals here to us. He does not answer this question.
Yes, he did. He said
how would you do it? The question is, how would you deport them?
He said he would use
military, put them on airplanes,
National Guard, and then just local police military, or something.
No, he never said that.
Military.
Are you flipping them off? Or are you back in?
I'm back. I'm not. I'm flipping them off.
Okay, he's not back.
God. So the moderator says the FBI stats say crime is actually down in America, and then Trump claims that's fraud. So is the FBI lying about it?
Biggest cities.
Are you back in?
He's back in. Yes. Just let him say whatever he wants to say. It doesn't matter. Okay. So they left out the biggest cities.
Chill.
What?
Can you chill?
No, I can't stand it.
Okay. Trump
I don't understand what he can't stand here. We're literally just talking about what we watched. I'm not making things up. This is what just happened on TV that we watched.
I know.
Why is every one of your questions on how Trump answered it then, smart guy?
I'm talking about how Kamala Harris answered it too. The first one, I said she didn't answer the question.
Yes, he did. Don't. Yes, he did. Go ahead.
Okay. Kamala Harris then responds to this where they're talking about crime, and she's like, it's rich coming from somebody who's been prosecuted for national security crimes, found liable for sexual assault. Your next court appearance is in November at your own criminal sentencing. And she says it's important that we move forward and turn the page. She's tired of this rhetoric. She wants to address the problems we have, and the American people are exhausted with this playbook. I thought this is like, it's good branding for them to basically say like, he is the past, and this fucking circus that has been here for the past however many years, we got to move on from it. Mm-hmm. Trump then says, every one of those cases, I'm winning and they're fake. So it's like, well, which is it? If you're winning them, who cares?
No, not fake. He called them, what was it called? You know, where they're out to get him. Decriminalization.
Weaponization of the DOJ. And he calls all the cases fake. He literally used that word.
Yes.
And then they kind of have a little back and forth thing where he talks about how he says, I probably took a bullet to the head because of what they did. And he keeps saying, they did. So he's really...
I did like that.
Trump is really trying to, I think, use the playbook, as she's calling it, that makes everybody an enemy. It's their enemies, enemies, enemies. World War III is coming. People are coming to take your jobs and your house if you don't elect me. Whereas Kamala Harris is trying to say we need to come together, put the divisiveness behind us. And I think that message is a stronger one to contemporary America, personally.
I wished at the very end on his thing where he got his 2 minutes or whatever, at the very end, that he would have said, if you want to live in a communist country run by a Marxist, vote for her. If you want to live in freedom in the United States again,
ruled by a dictator, which he has said he will be.
But our country would be great again, and we would all have food on the table.
Yeah.
Vote for me.
Well, we're going to get to their final statements because I think the last sentences of each of their final statements are very telling about what kinds of candidates they are.
She wants another debate.
Oh, God.
What did he say?
He just read on TV.
Put him on camera. If he's going to be in this, we need to see him.
Are you going to talk or not?
I was just telling
okay, say it. You can talk. You can talk to them. No. He read something on the TV that said,
I don't understand what he's doing. He's just like being a baby, but he's still kind of talking. Like, what's going on here?
That I'm going to sleep in, and I'm watching TV.
Please talk and be nice.
No.
Why are you doing this? Why are you being like dismissive of it and checking out?
You're doing everything that the moderators did, and I'm sick of it.
What would you like me to do to bring you back into this? How could I get you to come back?
You can't. I'm already tired.
All right. Well, thanks for your time. The next question is, why has Kamala Harris changed her policy and positions on certain things? They bring up fracking. They bring up a bunch of different things that she said multiple years ago that she now has different positions on. And she basically says, I've been very clear. I'm not going to ban fracking, and my values have not changed. She keeps hitting that, which is a deflection of the question. She's never saying my positions haven't changed, because they have. We know that. It's my values haven't changed. And that seems to be kind of how she is handling that question every time it's asked in any capacity. And that is sidestepping it, which I think people who are going to vote for her anyway don't give a shit. And the people who are going to find fault in that are always going to find fault in it. I don't think she can get away with it. I don't know that there's a better way for her to answer this question, but it's one of the things I think they can kind of always get her on.
Yeah, like she's lying. She sidesteps and then lies.
She's not lying. She's saying her values haven't changed. She's just not answering the question. She does end this by saying Trump was given $400 million and then declared bankruptcy 6 times.
Well, like,
he's like, not 600 million, not 400 million. It was a fraction of that.
Wasn't it like in 2016? She said she would she would frack. And then in 2020, whatever, she would never frack. And now she's going back and forth.
Yeah, she certainly has. And that doesn't look good. And the Tim Walz DUI lying about it doesn't look good. Right. They are American politicians, which means they are not good people, generally speaking. They will lie. They will do whatever to ascend to power. I believe that is true of all politicians. Even I think if you get into the system with kind of noble ideas, I think the system corrupts you because you see what you have to do to work within that system. And it necessarily means lying, cheating, stealing, all these things. This is the part where Donald Trump says she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. And that got a loud laugh from both myself and Laura.
Though. That is on her page. If you pull up her page thing, it says that.
All right.
She does want to do that.
She herself wants to go into prisons and perform surgeries on transgender illegal aliens.
She wants to pay for it using our money, our government money.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
All right.
That is true. See, are you sidestepping?
No, I don't believe it. Just like you believe that Donald Trump won this, you're living in your reality. Let me have mine, where I don't think that Kamala Harris has ever said she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens in prison. Look, if you show me her campaign page or something, send it to me.
Okay, I will.
If you can find it in black and white, then I'll read it. Not from Newsmax.
And I'll show you that meeting where the man stood up and said they ate my dog. It was at a city council meeting.
Yeah.
He said, what are you going to do about it? And the main person there in the city council meeting said, we cannot be biased about the people that live in our community. They're killing dogs. They're wringing the necks of ducks in the ponds and then taking them home and frying them and eating them.
Mm-hmm.
Illegal.
Barbecue and rats in New York.
Yeah.
What
and that is, he said they're barbecuing rats too in New York. We saw
And you guys want to save the rats now?
No, but I don't think, that's like third world country shit. That's what they are doing to our country.
Drinking poisoned water is third world country shit too. And we do
that'll
that
be
here.
Next.
What do you mean that'll be next? That happens here in this country. All right. Okay. The next topic was peaceful transition of power. They asked Trump about January 6th. It was 2 hours before he sent a video message telling everybody to go home. Does he have any regrets? He does not answer that question. His response is, what about Ashley Babbitt being shot by a police officer? What about the people pouring into the country? She was the border czar. What about these people? Doesn't even attempt to talk about January 6th.
No, he did. He said he had told Pelosi that
yes, I'm getting to that.
Hang on. That many people.
Hang on.
That he would give her 10,000.
Yes. I'm getting to that.
Refused.
David Muir then says it's a simple question. Is there anything you regret on that day? And Trump says, I had nothing to do with it except for his speech. It was all Pelosi. Kamala Harris is like, I was there. I was a senator and a VP elect. The president incited a violent mob. She wins this hands down, I think. She brings up the Proud Boys, the stand back and stand by. She's like, we're never going back. She talks about him saying good people on each side. And she's like, it's time to turn the page. Trump has said there's going to be a bloodbath if the election doesn't go his way. He rambles and tries to explain what that meant, that it was a financial thing.
Yeah.
What?
The bloodbath thing was not in regard to winning or losing the election. It was in regard to oil prices.
I wish he would just. I wish he would just be honest. Like in these.
Yeah, you don't think that's a lie?
In these debates, like we all know that you fucking incited this whole thing. Like, just say I did it and I do it again. Like, just say it. You're not going to lose your audience. Mom and dad already, you know, to the death.
Yeah,
like fucking
metal hits the meat.
You know what? The best part of the debate that I liked that she just wouldn't do anything about. He said, "Let's just stop this debate. Let's just you and me leave right now. We'll go to that White House. We'll
I don't think I saw that part.
Oh, what? Yeah. He said, let's get out of this debate right now. Let's go to the White House.
No, he said you. He said, why don't you go wake Sleepy Joe up at the White House?
I thought he said both of us.
No, he said you.
Well, I'll get to that part in the transcript that I've taken here. We're not to that yet. So Trump then demands to speak after this bloodbath thing. And he's like, no, that's not what I meant. And then he talks about the Charlottesville thing has been debunked. He calls his statement on Charlottesville a perfect statement. He asks, why are we allowing these millions of people to come through the southern border? Again, nothing to do with this topic, but back on the idea of their allowing these criminals to come in, the fear mongering. Trump then says the next topic is Trump's false claims that he won the 2020 election. Now he says that he came up short. And he's like, are you acknowledging that you lost? And he's like, I was being sarcastic. And David Muir is like, I saw the video. I detected no sarcasm. And he also says there are a lot of investigations into claims of fraud in that election. And no credible fraud was found. Trump keeps rambling about not having standing, and he still claims he didn't lose. He says they put the nation in decline. We have a nation that is dying, David. And then Kamala Harris responds.
Go in another room just a minute. I have to turn on light. There we go. Okay, go ahead.
What's happening now? Where's Dad? He's out?
Yeah, I'm leaving him.
What?
I left him.
He's just getting mad.
Yeah.
I think he and maybe you also know that Trump got demolished here. I know you're saying he won because.
No, I don't.
Huh?
I really don't. I think it was biased. I don't like those moderators.
Yeah.
I think Trump did fine. But you know what I think about her? They polished her up. You can polish someone up like that. You know, she is an attorney. Yeah. She knows how to speak. But is she going to do any of that shit she's telling people she's going to do? No.
None of that matters. He didn't do anything he said he was going to do except overturn Roe v. Wade.
It will matter. It will matter when people don't have food on their table.
They're going to have food. Look.
No, they're not.
The thing that I took away from this the most is she got under his skin. When Trump was debating Joe Biden, Trump was in full command of that debate, clearly. Biden looked like he was dying on stage, and Trump knew it, and he just kind of sat there and let himself destruct, and he got out all of his talking points and was the funnier, more energetic person. Trump is less energetic than Kamala Harris, and she fucking got to him. In this part right here that we're talking about, she's like, Donald Trump, you were fired by 81 million people, and you're having a hard time processing that. We can't have a president who tries to upend the will of the voters. When she's saying this shit, he is going insane. His response to that,
quiet. But
he starts talking about Orban.
Yeah, but he's quiet.
He's my friend. He's not quiet. He's interrupting her. He's saying shit off mic. David Muir has to interrupt him and cut him off multiple times. But he seemed childish in this.
What a effing lie that she would bring up that state leaders are laughing at him, that they're laughing with her about him. It's just the opposite. But they're laughing at her and Biden.
Whatever the truth is, I don't know what the truth is in that regard, who's laughing at who or which leader is perceived by the rest of the world to be stronger or better or dumber or whatever. I don't know what the truth is, but I know what I saw on that screen. And when she's saying that shit to him, he's getting pissed off. He's getting flustered because he can't handle these digs at his ego. Any insinuation that he is not... It was a perfect phone call. Some people are saying I have perfect words. If anybody is saying anything to him other than, yes, you are perfect, you are the best leader, you have the biggest rallies, he goes nuts. And that's what we watched happen tonight. He reined it in, but you could see it flustering. When she says this thing, you got fired by 81 million people and you're having a hard time processing that.
Yeah.
The very next thing he does is say how he's best friends with a fucking dictator. What?
So? He didn't go yell and scream at her and go crazy.
He didn't go crazy. I'm not saying that. He was diminished. She defeated him in the battle of ego. because he can't handle this shit. And he's not smart. He's not as smart as she is.
Oh, yes, he is. Oh, my gosh. He's way smarter. In the very beginning, I liked it, too, because Dad was saying, do you think they'll shake hands? I said, no, I would never shake her hand. But he made her come over to him. Did you see that?
Who cares?
Well, that's about I'm in charge, you're not.
No, it's about I'm a toddler. I'm not shaking your hand. So she walked over there and did it.
Yeah, and introduced herself. Yeah. Hi, I'm Kamala Harris. That
for
little
the
thing,
people that
like,
have
doesn't
tried
really matter.
to put him in prison, they've tried to kill him, they've tried to shoot him with a bullet. Would you shake their effing hands? Hell no.
Wait a minute. You think
he
Kamala
got
Harris
himself, but
I think Biden was involved in that assassination.
The kid who shot him was a fucking Republican.
No, okay, yeah, with 3 different off
one of my favorite parts of the whole one of my favorite parts of the whole debate was when they started talking about how racist he was. Like she fucking got him.
I agree.
It was
I think that's coming up next. It's in the next couple of things here. The next topic was the Israel-Hamas war. Kamala Harris got the first question. About 40,000 Palestinians are dead, she says, and there's no deal on the table. She basically says we need to ceasefire now, and a 2-state solution is what she's going to support, but she will back Israel. She says they do have a right to defend themselves. We are their ally. We will continue to give them money and guns. Trump says...
Lip service. That's all lip service. Yeah.
Well, then what's Trump? He says, if I were president, it never would have happened. So he's living in some fantasy alternate reality where it didn't happen. That's not lip service. It did happen. He has no plan for it. He's just like, listen, if I was president, it wouldn't have never happened. And he keeps talking about terror.
I don't think it would have.
There's so much terror in the world. And he's like, I'll get it settled fast, and I'll get the Russian-Ukrainian war solved in one day. Kamala Harris then responds. She's like, and he says that she doesn't support Israel. He's like, she hates Israel. She's like, I have supported Israel my entire life. He's trying to distract.
That's why she snubbed the Israel guy when he came to the White House. Yeah, she loves Israel, right? Boo. No, she doesn't.
Kamala Harris says that he is trying to distract from the fact that he's weak and wrong on international policy. He likes dictators. He wants to be one. He said Russia can do whatever they want. And he said it was brilliant when they invaded Ukraine. All that's true. The dictators are rooting for him, she says, to be president because they can manipulate him with flattery and favors. And that's why the military leaders think he's a disgrace, including the ones that have worked with him. And Trump says, but Putin endorsed you. Well, I'm like, well, that's news to me. Trump then asked why Biden killed the Keystone Pipeline, but didn't approve the Nord Stream. And I'm like, what does this have to do with any of the shit they're talking about? What does this have to do with the Israel-Hamas war? Yeah. He's just going down his paths of like, red meat, red meat, red meat, red meat. No matter what the question is, it's going to be World War III.
Was that the question when he was like, he said shit about like, well, I fired all those people. That's why. Or was that earlier
on? Next. It comes up next. They keep talking about it. The next topic is the Ukraine war. Trump, it's brought up that he said he would be able to solve it in 24 hours. How would you do that? And do you want Ukraine to win is the question. And he's like, these are fake numbers in this war. It needs to end. We're $250 billion in, and Europe's only in for $150 billion. He starts talking about how he has a good relationship with Zelensky and Putin, and all he needs to do is get them in the same room together. But there may be World War III also. I can bring peace, but also World War III. So he's promising you these giant things that he can do to bring peace, but also World War III.
Do you want to speak or not? Okay, goodbye. If you want to speak, you can come here and tell him. Tell him. Tell him. Tell him. Tell him. F yeah.
This is insane. What's he saying?
I know.
Why is he behaving like this?
I have no idea.
This is like a toddler.
Like Trump. He said all the oil and gas markets are tanking right now, which means Trump won the debate.
Why would the oil and gas markets tank if Trump, who has promised a perfect economy, won the debate?
Yeah, why, Bob?
Please don't shake the iPad like that.
Oh. And increase our supplies.
Because why?
He will open up our drilling and increase all of our supplies.
He will open up the drilling and increase the supplies. Would you please
which drives the price down?
Which drives the price down.
Yeah.
Down.
Okay, I see. So everybody thinks he's now going to win the presidency, and therefore the markets are crashing.
Well, that he won this debate for sure, yes.
Well, I hope tomorrow we have in America with all these market crashes. Kamala Harris then says, Muir cuts him off, by the way, during this. David Muir cuts him off and goes, again, do you think it's in the U.S.'s best interest for Ukraine to win this war? And he's like, it's in the best interest for the war to end. No answer here. He does not answer that question.
He said for it to end.
Yes. That is not, do you think it's better for Ukraine to beat Russia? He won't say anything bad against Putin, is basically what we're getting at here. Kamala Harris then says, it's important to remind Trump that he's not running against Biden because he's brought up Biden so much. And she's like, I met with Zelensky before the invasion and shared U.S. intelligence to help him. We want Ukraine to win. She brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine. And Trump would have Putin sitting in Kiev, she says, which I agree because he has basically said that.
I just can't stand her.
And this is the part where she says Putin would eat Trump for lunch. Trump then responds, Putin would be sitting in Moscow and then to her, quiet, please. She says some comment and then he goes, he brings up nuclear weapons, another World War III reference, and then he insults her as the worst vice president in the history of the country. Kamala Harris says that she's going to hear, you're going to hear a bunch of lies from him. And this is another one. She met with Zelensky 5 times to uphold international rules and norms. She wants to support the relationships with our allies, not befriend dictators. Yes, you had something to say?
Yeah, this is something early on. I thought the mics were supposed to be off. Like
they were.
Okay.
They were.
Early on, though, when Trump wanted to say something and she started talking and he said, he told her to stop. What was that about early on?
He was referencing something she said at one of her rallies.
Yeah.
And then he's like, sound familiar? Because she cut a guy off at one of her rallies who tried to heckle her in the same manner. But they both were cutting each other off.
Why was her mic on? It was supposed to be off.
No, it was off.
But you
could hear her speaking through his mic.
Okay.
The next topic is Afghanistan. And David Muir tries to ask a question about it, and Trump just cuts him off, talking about getting NATO to pay up, just rambling incoherently. Then Muir gets back to Afghanistan and asks Harris if you believe that you bear any responsibility in the withdrawal. She dodges this question.
Dodged that one.
And she basically says, like, 4 presidents wanted out of Afghanistan. Biden was the one that did it.
See, he could have dug and done some better digging with that. Like today, is Abbeygate and the 13 people that died. He could have dug into that and he didn't. That kind of made me sad. But
Trump could have as well, and he didn't. Too stupid, in my opinion. But here, basically, Kamala Harris says, Trump negotiated a weak deal in Afghanistan by negotiating with the Taliban, who he brought to Camp David. And she uses that to say Trump doesn't appreciate the role and responsibility of being a United States president. Trump response is, Taliban was killing a lot of our soldiers with snipers. I got involved with the Taliban because they were doing the killing. I told Abdul not to do it anymore. I sent a picture of his house to him. He had 18 months of no killing negotiated, but then they went back on. They blew it. The agreement was terminated because they were killing. So I did it. Well, it's like, well, if you make a deal with somebody and that person doesn't abide by the deal, then you're a shitty deal maker. If you don't have any way to enforce the deal, you are bad at it, in my opinion. Then we get to this topic of race and politics. Muir brings up his statement about Kamala Harris becoming black, and she wasn't black, but now she is. And he asked Trump, is it important, why it is important to weigh in on the racial identity of your opponent? And Trump says, I don't care. And he gets pressed. And he's like, well, I read she wasn't black, and then she was, and I don't know. And he just looks foolish at this point, I think. And Harris basically then jumps into this. This is like an area where obviously she's bulletproof. She says it's a tragedy.
No, she is bulletproof. Bringing up that Charlottesville shit. That's all bullshit.
It's not.
Yes.
What are you talking about? He's on tape saying there are good people on both sides. There is tape of him saying it.
Debunk. Google it.
It is wild to me that you believe that. You don't think he said there are good people on both sides?
What I have read 10 to 15 things debunked, not real.
There is a video of him saying it. You can see that with your own eyes.
Well, I'll send you all the articles where it says it's not real.
What? There's a video of him saying it. He did do it. It's right there.
Send it to me.
I will send you that
video. Are
we
talking about the same thing?
I don't know. Maybe
with
not.
the KKK stuff, all that?
Yes.
where he said, I don't know what happened today, but there's a lot of people, good people on both sides, bad people on both sides, and good people on both sides. And by both sides, he means basically neo-Nazis and non-neo-Nazis.
Yeah, she's talking about some KK coming through forests and stuff. It never happened.
All right, I don't know what you're talking about then, but
Okay.
basically what we have here is this conversation where she essentially says she thinks it's a tragedy to have somebody running for president who uses race to divide the American people. She says he was investigated because he refused to rent to black families, which he never denies. He took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for the execution of 5 black and Latino boys who were innocent back in the 80s. This was the Central Park 5.
Yeah.
And he spread...
And they were guilty. Yeah, they were guilty.
They were found not guilty.
They weren't.
They have said that they were guilty. Yes, they have.
What?
I mean, they're just not.
They just are.
Okay, well, we'll leave it at that, I guess.
Okay.
He spread the birther lies about Obama, and she says the American people want better than this. We don't want a leader who's constantly trying to have people point their fingers at each other. I agree with this. Trump says this is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country, referring to Biden. They come up with things like what she just said. Many people agreed with him on the Central Park 5. This is a person who stretches back 40, 50 years. This is talking about his the not renting to black people. So he's like, you got to go back 40 or 50 years to find concrete evidence of my racism, which I don't think is true. But he built a great economy. They're destroying it. It has nothing to do with the original question here. He's just, again, rambling off into Nowheresville. Kamala Harris comes in and says, I'm clearly not Joe Biden. I'm clearly not Donald Trump. Okay. I'm a new generation of leader that has optimism instead of always disparaging the American people. Let's talk about our plans, my tax credits. And she keeps bringing up basically these concrete things like, I have a plan to get here. I am not racist. I don't want us to fight anymore. And I think it is a good argument. I think it's a strong strategy. People are tired of being pissed at each other. When we started this podcast, Mom, let me ask you this. We were not talking very much as a family, any of us, right?
No, I don't remember.
Yes, that is 100% accurate.
That's
we had
why
not
I
talked
started
in months and months.
No,
and it was because of political divide.
Started it.
Yes, it is why I started it.
Politically. But see, okay.
But
people
those politics
don't understand.
Yeah.
We are a family. We do get along. But politics, we don't.
Correct. And it had gotten to a point that our political divide was so strong that we didn't talk to each other about anything. We would have these weird, like, come back for a birthday or Christmas, sit silently in your living room and watch Fox News and then leave. That's pretty much what we were doing. You can't deny that. Now, since we've been doing this podcast for 2 years, year and a half, I don't know how long it's been, but we now are talking to each other every week for at least this hour.
Minus
we also text
one.
More.
Minus one
well, whatever. Us 3. But we also text each other more, I think, and are in closer contact. And we are able to kind of like, the political divide doesn't matter as much to us anymore in this family. And I like that feeling. It's better than having these fucking years of basically silence or like, having these kind of like forced weird moments where we hang out together but don't really say anything. And I think people generally want this. And I think her message is that. It's like, let's stop not talking to each other anymore.
No, her message is nothing but flowers and butterflies and let's all be wonderful together. And that's bullshit because she's going to turn our country into a communist country. We'll be a second Venezuela.
But he's saying he's not saying we need World War III. He's preaching that we are under siege by threats, foreign and domestic, and World War III is coming, and the economy's collapsing, and I'm the only one who can save it all, but I will also incite it all. He's just pure chaos, and I think people are tired of that. We don't want to go through another 4 years of it, and whether she is telling the truth or not, the message she's conveying is one of unity and one of a better tomorrow, not a return to the broken past.
One of a bunch of lies.
All right.
So, I think your dad and I too here at the end, if Trump does not win and she does, and our country goes to communism, I mean, we're on the last 10 years of our lives. Why would we hang out? Why would we stay?
Where would you go?
I'd go to heaven, I guess, because I wouldn't want to live in a country like that.
I'm sorry.
Heaven? What are you talking about?
I'm sorry.
I'm not going to live in a communist country.
How would you get to heaven? Hello? What's going on here? What are you talking about?
I will not live in a communist country.
Can't you just move to another country?
Yeah, maybe.
Let me just say this. Fine, you don't want to live in a communist country. If she gets elected, that doesn't mean we're in a communist country.
Yes, it does.
Just wait it out.
Do you think we're living in a communist country now?
No.
Okay, well, Biden is president. She's the vice president. And you're claiming that she's just going to continue that same presidency. So why would it become communist?
She's more radical.
I see.
Okay.
The next topic is Obamacare. Trump says, they asked Trump, you have voted that, or you've said that you want to repeal Obamacare. Do you have a plan in place to replace it? Rambles incoherently. I have concepts of a plan, he says.
But shut up. You know that is the worst health care of anything. It's terrible. Obamacare is terrible, and you know it.
Better than no health care? Better than being denied for a pre-existing condition?
Well, there are a lot of promises made with that health care that never turned down either. It's terrible.
Yeah, none of it's perfect. None of it's good, I would even say. But it's better than the alternative, which is nothing, which is what it was before. That if you had asthma, if you had, like me, for example, I had fucking cancer in my face. On the prior healthcare system, I would not be able to get coverage. And so if my cancer comes back, I'm done. Like, I would not be able to afford the treatment. I would just die.
No. We would buy your treatment.
Okay, well, some people don't have that possibility.
Okay.
I'm just saying Obamacare is not as bad as you think it is. Nonetheless, Trump has no plan to replace it. He just keeps saying, we have to repeal it. It's the worst thing ever. What's your plan to replace it? Well, I have a concept of a plan.
Well, he said, I'm not president yet, but I will have it in the next few days. He said.
And then Kamala Harris lays out very...
Your impersonation of Donald Trump is kind of like Megamind. Have you seen that show, the movie Megamind? Like that's similar. It's like a Megamind Donald Trump fusion.
It's similar.
It's got to get better.
Kamala Harris basically says she does have a plan, and it's to strengthen Obamacare, which is great. They talk about John McCain a little bit, and then we finally get to the environment and climate change. Harris says Trump said climate change is a hoax. Ask anyone who's experienced extreme weather conditions. It's not a hoax. And investing in American-made products and clean energy is the way she wants to go. Then Trump just launches into this thing about Biden losing 10,000 manufacturing jobs and Chinese-owned Mexican auto plants and nothing about climate change whatsoever. Then we get these closing statements. Kamala Harris hits again. She wants to create an economy of opportunity. And her final line in this says, she never asked, she's kind of run up the chain in her law career all the way to where she is now. And she's like, I never asked a victim or a witness if they were Republican or a Democrat. I only asked them if they were okay. That's the kind of president we need right now. Focus on what we can do in the next 2 decades by investing in our people. Her final kind of message is, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I just care if you're okay. I want to invest in our country and make it good.
A
Trump
big, fat
says,
lie. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Trump is like, I think you should go back to the beautiful White House and do all the things you want to do. You haven't done it. Your plans are shitty. We're a failing nation in serious decline. That's his message.
Yes.
Kamala Harris says, I want us to be united and be good together. He says, we are a failing nation in serious decline. A negative message to her positive message. I think that's coming across to people. And he says they are the worst president and worst vice president in the history of our country. It's his final line. So it's not about why you should vote for me. It's why you should hate them. His entire strategy is about hate, and hers is not.
I wish that the Andy would have said, if you vote for her, you will be living in a communist country. If you vote for me, you'll be free.
Right. That is another message of hate. It's a thing basically saying like, they are terrible, therefore you must vote for me. She's saying, vote for me because I'm going to invest in you. I'm going to make your life better. Trump is saying they will make your life worse. She is saying I will make your life better.
And he only one time said, you've had 3 years to do whatever they were discussing. You know, she's had 3 years to do this. She's done nothing. He
had 4 years to do what he was going to do. What did he do? Nothing.
Okay.
Got us in one of the worst positions that our country's been in during the pandemic, in my opinion.
Okay.
But that wraps it up. That's where it ends. Once again, I think she crushed him in this. I don't think this will matter a great deal to any voters because I think all of our minds are pretty much made up at this point. There might have been a small block of undecideds that were going to watch this and see if there was a clear victor. You know, we have differing opinions on that. Me and Haley think it was her. You and Dad think it was Trump. So
I know.
Who knows?
I know. Maybe by tomorrow we'll see what all the polls say.
Any final thoughts?
I think he did fine, and I think he beat her, and I think that the moderators were biased. I really do.
Is there
they were
another debate?
against him. They were against him. But
is there another debate coming?
I don't know. That's what Dad
I don't know
if
it's been scheduled or not. Well, didn't Dad thought that she wasn't even going to show up to this one? That was his prediction. So has he changed his mind on that? Does he believe that Kamala Harris was actually there?
Yes, he does. He was going crazy like 30 minutes. He's been a little.
He's
been crazy all today.
If there is another debate, like he's fucking destroyed from the start because now she's dipped her toe in it. She's ready.
Oh yeah, I agree. She'll have no nervousness, and she understands that he can't stick to a point. He has no credible lines of logic in any of this. Like that is really what shone through to me here.
He will be a little bit more tougher, I think. I think he didn't want to come across too tough and like.
No, his wranglers said his wranglers probably told him, please don't say anything like about her being a woman, about her race, about like they coached him to please don't say anything that might get you in trouble.
But he
so maybe he was on
like when he's going up against Biden, the strategy that he has like kind of works. He can yell and be blustery about like they're terrible and fuck this and World War III and all the immigrants. That works because it's like energetic. And when that is juxtaposed against Joe Biden decaying into a skeleton on stage next to him, it works. It's like visually and tonally, the comparison of the two is like, oh, well, that guy is fucking weak. He's dying. This guy at least has some energy to him. But when you have somebody who has that same level of energy, or as I would even say, Kamala Harris has a higher degree of it because she's younger, wants this more, is hungrier for it, and she's way smarter than him and has policy stuff that she can talk about.
No, she's not.
This is just as I see it. You know, you can argue however you like, but I'm just saying as I see it. When you have somebody who can match his energy and is not clearly dying on stage, but also has the political acumen to back up the things she's saying and to have things to say, it very clearly paints the picture that like this guy is a fucking lunatic who has no policy ideas and is just trying to make people afraid. That to me, it was clear as day. That is what I saw.
It was not to me and Dad. That's so weird. Yeah. It's so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
We'll see what the polls say tomorrow. We'll see what they say.
You got to look at some polls that are not Newsmax. We should all agree on a neutral poll if we can. I don't even know if we can agree on that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd check that out. At any rate, thank you everyone for joining us. That was our coverage of the first debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump that occurred tonight. And we hope everyone out there enjoyed this show. As we're getting closer to the election, things are heating up. And I'm sure we're going to start seeing, I mean, Jesus, what is it? It's September 10th. The election's in 2 months.
Can't believe it. Yeah.
It's going to be a wild one. We hope you'll join us for it as we are about to leave. As always, despite our political differences, we must remember we are a family. Mom, I love you. Haley, I love you. Dad, wherever he is, I love him. I can only imagine he's stomping around somewhere in the home.
Mom, I love you. Chad, I love you. Dad, love you.
Chad and Haley, I love you. And Bob, wherever you are, I love you. And one of the listeners, she sent me a text and said, please don't stop the show after the election. Just talk about family stuff. But I don't know if we can do that.
Of course we can. And why? I think actually this show will be more interesting after the election.
Like what?
Yeah, let's get to the bottom of that real quick. Why do you think we can't do that?
What would we talk about?
Anything.
Let me go see if
I'm curious to know what's going to happen to you and Dad psychologically.
Well,
when Kamala Harris wins and Trump is like out of the American political sphere.
I will not live in a
You're going to heaven.
Country.
Right, you're going to heaven, we know.
And look, neither will Kitty. Kitty will not live in communism.
Can we do episode? Can you
wanna
get
say
like a
goodbye?
GoPro and we do episodes like when we get together, like go haunted house or something, or like
Yeah,
stay
for
in
sure.
a haunted, like
Bye.
we do little episodes.
Goodbye. Shut up. You're talking like a moderator. I'm told to tell you goodbye.
Goodbye. I love you,
Goodbye.
Dad.
Goodbye. I love you guys too.
All right.
Even though you're
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's our show.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Bye. Even though you're. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.